Hello, good evening, guys. It's Orichiko here again, and welcome to another video, guys. Again, like, subscribe, guys, and leave a comment. We're gonna have a post-match reaction to the game between Kaizer Chiefs and Kruger United. Again, Amakhosi for life. And yeah, guys, I was just gonna come and give my post-match reaction from the game they just concluded right now. I hope you guys have had an amazing day and have come to close of the day on enjoying a beautiful football game that we watched. Again, congratulations to Kaizer Chiefs for winning the game 3-1. And generally, guys, it was a relatively good game. I think the first half was, from what we could see in the first half, Kaizer Chiefs started off well. They created one or two chances, they scored, and then after they scored, the game became a bit more, they got a bit more comfortable, and they just wanted to, measure the game. And I think once they sat back and got a bit more comfortable, they allowed Kruger to grow into the game, and as such, they equalized. But then from the second half, in the changes that Fernando de Cruz made in the second half, really changed the game. I think Duba made an impact. You could see that Muthetwa made an impact because of his ball winning. He wasn't too erratic in terms of his ball winning, like Ndlovu got a bit more stability in the midfield. You could also see that Maboya was connecting. Our midfield was connecting a lot better. Ethan Chislett got into the game. Duba got into the game. And most importantly, Batman on the left wing also got involved in the game. And our attack functioned slightly better than it did in the first half. We moved the ball as much as it wasn't the best, but I really felt like we moved the ball with a bit more urgency. When we lost the ball, we were quick to gegen press and win the ball back as quickly as we could. And I think two of the goals came from them, from just the energy. You could see that Fernando was talking about being energetic and sticking on their throat. So that was a good thing to see, the fact that we didn't just rest on our laurels. We wanted to score the goal. We had a bit more conviction in what we were doing. And that ultimately made it a little bit better in terms of Kaizer Chiefs scoring the goals. There's still a lot of work to do. But as the first game of the season, I think Chiefs did relatively well. And there are certain things that I really like about what I saw from what they did that I would really like. Again, guys, when we go to the start of the game, Kaizer Chiefs built up in a 3-2-5. Generally, they play, you'd find that Monyane will push up and will be the wing back. Then you would find Miguel Quinica as more of the right-hand side centre back. You would find Miguel as the middle centre back. And then you would find Frosler tuck into the centre back. That's why I said Kaizer Chiefs generally plays lopsided, because the attacking fullback, which is generally Monyane, is the one who's given more of the responsibility to attack. And then they push Monyane forward in more like a winger, and then they put Frosler back. They tuck him into to play more as a third centre back, and then our left winger, which was Luke, he hugs the line so that we can be able to create a bit of width. And then you'd find that our two central midfielders in the big watch, which in the first half was Sadile, which was Ndlovu, you'd find that those are the two that are given the responsibility to distribute the balls in between the lines. And then you'd find generally Mfundo Vilaka's attacking and coming to the half spaces. He doesn't hug the line. He hugs the line only when we then suddenly get beyond the opposition half. That's when he then just does go to the line, because then Monyane needs to overlap or underlap. So those are the little intricacies that I could see. In the first 10 to 15 minutes, I think, again, like we did against Scotland, we pressed Scotland in the game against Scotland. We pressed Kruger. We put them under a lot of pressure. We didn't give them a lot of time on the ball because, like I said in the previous video, guys, that our midfield, we want to be fast. We want to be combative. And especially Ndlovu and Maboya was getting stuck into challenges. And that was giving a lot of front football to Mfundo, and especially Batman also, and Chislett to play with. So we created a lot of, we were very energetic in the 10 to 15 minutes. And then from there, very good goal. I really like that goal a lot more because we played it through the lines. We played the ball from the back. We played it into the half spaces. You found Mfundo dropped into Monyane, hugged the line. You found Mfundo overloaded the inside area in terms of the inside half space, and then he took the ball there. We combined a bit with Monyani, quick 1-2 with Spendichle Ndovu. The ball comes back, and I like the anticipation of Flavio Silva to understand that ball. He was ready, and then shoot the ball, and then the goal scored. But then when that game decided to develop a lot further, you could see that some of the nuances and some of the mishaps that Kaizer Chiefs have in terms of their keeping, their ball playing ability. Yes, from the back to the middle, we could bypass Kruger quite easily. But when we started to get into the opposition half, into the half of Kruger United, you could see that we weren't really getting our passing rhythm into fluency. And as such, we were losing a lot of balls, we were getting dispossessed, we were trying to play too quickly, which is saying, that's why I say that the offensive framework of what the team is trying to do is still, you can see that it is still under development, because the players I think they're still trying to understand. Fernando is still trying to build a solid basis from which the team is starting to play, but you could see that we didn't move the ball with a lot of fluency after we scored the goal. And because of that, we started to play passes that we didn't need to play passes. It was either we were too quick, or either we were trying to switch the ball outward too quickly. Sometimes you need to keep the ball. Sometimes there are times when we're supposed to keep the ball in the congested areas long enough so that we can draw Kruger in, and then whenever we play quick 1-2-1-2s in the middle congested areas, we switch the ball out wide, and then we can then play at pace. But that is something that we are still learning to do, and you can see that is still something that we are still growing into doing. Our ball playing ability in terms of keeping the ball is still some of the things that we were struggling with. And then one other thing I saw in the first half was the fact that, as we know, guys, we like to, Kaizer Chiefs as a team, we generally like to defend in the mid block to low block. We don't generally like to press, or our pressing is quite passive. And because we weren't pressing effectively with each other, and our pressing triggers weren't quite defined, you could see that as the game, especially as the first half continued, you could see that Kruger United was able to get through our midfield line and get to our defense very quickly. And that was because we were very scattered in terms of our pressing triggers, our pressing. And when our front line was pressing in a 4, you would see that our midfield, which has Tubian, which is Ndlovu and Maboyi, they would press up. They weren't either pressing up well enough, and the whole team wasn't pushing up all together as a team. So you'd find that our midfield would press up, but our defensive and our defense would stay a bit deeper. So when you do that and you are not quite sure in how you are going to press, a good team knows how to then make one or two passes and then they play through the midfield. And as I said, guys, that Kruger United is a very good team. They are not, the quality in the final third, yes, will always be missing, but you can see from the reason why they won the Motsepe Foundation, they still have the ability to play through pass. And that was one of the reasons why we struggled, because in the later part of the second, because we became passive, we became quite comfortable with the ball. The players weren't coming and showing for the ball. They were hiding behind the midfield line of Kruger United, and thus it wasn't very easy. Then we started to play long balls, and we started to look for the difficult passes, and that becomes a compounding effect that then makes the game become more muddled. And as such, you saw Kruger started to grow into the game, and because they started to grow into the game, they then scored the goal just before the half time. But Kaizer Chiefs had lost control. That's one thing that I said, that Kaizer Chiefs started to lose control in the game. But then in the second half, he made very good changes. He made Mutetwa. You could see that he simplified the game in terms for Mutetwa. The most important thing for Mutetwa was not to screen, play one touch, two touch, win the ball back. And the most important thing that you could see that he had given the instruction to Mutetwa is our ball winning. The moment we lost the ball, our pressing, the moment we lost the ball, had to be much quicker. And that's one thing I saw, is that the moment we lost the ball, we pressed quickly. Whichever player was close to the ball, he had to press. And we had to make sure that we put Kruger under a lot of pressure. And you could see that the moment Kaizer Chiefs started to press and gegen press and put them under pressure, they won a lot of balls in the midfield. Even though our passing patterns and our movement is not yet refined, and we're still trying to grow in that area, but when we started to win a lot more balls and we made sure that Kruger United didn't have time on the ball, you could see that our players, with our shoulder was starting to open up more. Players were starting to build, to have more confidence. We were keeping the ball a little bit better. Our passing was much more crisper. Yes, when we did get to the final third, we were getting dispossessed quite easily because our building up schemes and our movement is not as coordinated and as sharp as it needs to be. But whenever we did win the ball, you could see that we attacked very quickly and we put them under a lot of pressure and we gave them a lot of problems to think about. I do think that Ethan Chislet started to avail himself a little bit better. We started to give the ball to Batman a lot quicker so that he can go 1-versus-1 with his fullback. We started to combine slightly better in terms of getting the ball out wide and getting crosses into the box. We started to give Kruger a lot of different problems to think about. And as much as it wasn't through intricate play, but when we did get the opportunity to score, to shoot, or put them under pressure, we did. And that's a good thing to see, is that the players understood that we have to put them under pressure. We have to make sure that we do not give them enough time on the ball. And I really think that our second half was a lot better. And yeah, it's a good foundation to base on. I was quite afraid because I wasn't sure what Chiefs was going to look like. But in the second half, I was really happy to see that the players took the control of the game. We started, our passing was, as you can hear, guys, I'm always talking about our passing, because it's so important that we are comfortable on the ball. That is something that our players have to grow into the game. We have to grow into having clear passing patterns, having good building up schemes, having good passing shapes that we are playing with, so that the players, whoever comes in, can be comfortable. The team can be more arrogant. The team can have more confidence, and the team can score more goals. And the good thing to show is that when we did get right, when we did get our passing patterns right, when we did get our movement right, when we did get our understanding of where to go when we did have the ball, you could see that it was a lot better, and we created much better chances and much better opportunities. We still have a lot of room to grow in terms of what we do when we get to the final third, because of the pace and the tempo that we move there. But I really am happy that we generally we scored the amount of goals that we needed to score, and we have a good foundation to build from. I'm also happy for Duva, because in the last game didn't really play well enough in the second half, but you could really see that he had a point to prove, and he scored his goals. I really do think that Ethan Chislet in the second half grew into the game. It was a lot better. I really like his energy and his effort and his hard work also to win the ball back and to put teams under pressure. And he won a lot of balls for Kaizer Chiefs in the second part, in the offensive half. And his passing was a lot better. He availed himself a lot better than he did. I didn't, in the first half, sometimes I see this thing where Ethan sometimes likes to hide behind the opposition defensive line. Sometimes I also want him to come, get more time on the ball. He must put his foot on the ball and move the ball. Get his foot on the ball, avail himself, become a point of contact between the midfield and the attack. And you could see that he grew into that, and that was what I was happy about. I was also happy with Batman because he grew into the game, started to avail himself a lot more, started to shoot a lot more, a bit of skill here and there. But it was nice to see that the players had confidence and played with a lot more confidence, and a good basis foundation to work from. I still think there's a lot of work to do, guys, as such as I'm speaking. But for the first game, in terms of the first game of the league season, I really do think that we really did well, and it's a good foundation to work on. We still need to invest into the team. I hope that now, in terms of from what we saw, a lot more investment is going to come into the team. I really do also think that we need another central defender now, because our centre back stocks now don't look quite good, because we only have 3 recognized defenders because of Rushin Dwatley's injury. I really do think we need a left-sided centre back. I also think we have an issue. I hope Bradley Cross's injury is not too bad, so that he could be able to stay to be able to play, because I feel like the balance of the team will be a lot bit better in terms of our building up and our attack, if also our left-hand side is also looked after. But generally, for the first game, guys, I really think that we did reasonably well. As a good start to the season, and upwards and onwards from there. Nothing much difference in terms of the tactical profile of what the team did compared to what they did last game. It's more or less the same, but I'm sure that as time is coming and there's more time, they spend more time on the training ground, as they understand more what Fernando's trying to do. Hopefully the team will play a little bit better, but so far so good in terms of the first game. So guys, I just wanted to give my post-match reaction to the game, give my thoughts on what I looked at, and congratulations for Kaizer Chiefs for winning the game. More videos are coming again, guys. I hope you enjoyed your evening. I hope you enjoyed the game. I wish you a very good night, and sharp.